This video is titled Operation Tripwire, and it's how to beat a speeding ticket if traveling under 55 miles an hour. I'm going to conduct a simulated sting operation. This video is part of a series called Cracking the Vehicle Code. It is my position that the Vehicle Code of Pennsylvania was written in code, containing hidden loopholes that were never intended to be activated directly, but indirectly by the police officer's discretion when pulling over a member of the special friends list. That will be explained. So part 1. Operator's discretion. When you're granted a license, you're granted a certain amount of discretion, and then they instantly want to take it away from you. Section 3361 says no person shall drive a vehicle at a speed greater than is reasonable and prudent under the conditions and having regard to the actual potential hazards then existing, nor at a speed greater than will permit the driver to bring the vehicle to a stop with the ensured clear distance ahead. Well, they give these people a so-called driver's license. Most people are dumb and stupid, and they're not properly trained. They don't realize that based on the gross weight, a heavier vehicle takes longer to stop. So basically they give you discretion and then they instantly want to take it away from you. By limiting this discretion, this is why they put these so-called traffic control devices along the road. One-way sign, stop sign. They put the double yellow line for you can no pass. They put the sign that says do not pass. It's all signs to limit your discretion. There's a quirk of law, implied consent. If there's an error and you don't dispute it, then by your implied consent, then you agree that there is no error. You legitimize an error by your own stupidity. That's like at the restaurant. If you get a guest check and the waitress put down that tallied the amount wrong, and you didn't bother to check, you pay the bill, you walk out the door by implied consent, then you agree that the waitress's tallied amount was correct. Part 2, signage. When the federal government got involved, they standardized road signs. This way here, no matter where you go in the country, all signs are the same. Stop sign has a distinctive shape, octagon, and the word stop is on it. It's painted red. Okay, when a sign is along the road, you are to presume that it was placed legally until proven otherwise. So if you're going down an unfamiliar stretch of road and you see a speed limit sign, hey, you better you take warning. You're supposed to assume that it's legal until proven otherwise. So if you're just passing through a town, who's going to stop at the city hall or the township office to check first? So you just give it the benefit of the doubt. It's a legal sign and we better comply by it. That's it, until proven otherwise. Now this sign here I'm going to explain is that it's a con man's gimmick. It's vague and ambiguous because it was designed for those on the special friends list. I mean, if a police officer, he pulls over the judge's wife or the mayor's girlfriend, or the way things are today, it could be the mayor's boyfriend. So as long as they're under 55 miles an hour and there's no other issues like DUI, then the officer is granted discretion to let them slide. This sign provides the necessary wiggle room. It's vague and ambiguous. So then the officer, without even mentioning the hidden loopholes, they could activate them to let this one on the special friends list go on their merry way. So you have to connect the dots. Find the trail of evidence. Right? This sign here the speed limit sign, what's missing? A lot of things. Just say maximum speed, and this numeral 35, its function has to be identified, MPH. But more important, it has to have a serial number. This is a traffic control device. Then it has to be a marked vessel. Now, what do I mean by a marked vessel? Take a police officer standing on the street corner directing traffic. He's a traffic control device, and he is a marked vessel, and he has that badge on his cap. That's his license. And it can't be a generic license. It has to have a serial number. He's a marked vessel. He is an authorized traffic control device when he's standing in the middle of the road. The familiar parking meter. This is described as a traffic control device. Has to be a marked vessel. The actual clock inside has a serial number, or you can't see it, so that serial number is linked to the housing, which has a serial number. And it's usually a tag riveted to the housing. And when you get a parking ticket, the parking ticket has to identify the meter, and the parking ticket itself is a marked vessel, has a serial number, because this also falls in with the family of a traffic control device. So you got a traffic control device along the highway, it has to be a marked vessel. Now the older signs, they were stamped metal. They were covered with porcelain enamel. And you see these holes, there was like glass marbles that reflected the light from like the headlights. Because back then the paint, they didn't have that paint that reflected light. These signs, the speed limit sign as we know today, has been vague and ambiguous for over 7 years. It's illegal because they wanted to create sufficient wiggle room so when the officer pulls someone over on a special friends list, he can let them slide. The information on the sign was different back then. It said speed 20 miles. Well, that's still vague and ambiguous. 20, is that for the next 20 miles? But anyway, take notice that the word miles is doesn't have the glass marbles. So eventually the word miles was taken off because they wanted to make this sign as generic as possible to maximize its vagueness, to provide the officer with sufficient wiggle room. Now it's interesting that the cautionary sign that you find on an exit ramp or around a sharp curve in a road, they do put MPH. And what I think is ironic, that here's a toy, a speed limit sign that says MPH, and this came in a Cracker Jack box as a toy. Maybe we should put the toy signs up on the road. Another one is from Tonka. And when you got a set of Tonka toys, it came with a speed limit sign. Here's this one says speed limit 30 mph. Yet, when it comes to this sign, why is the mph missing? Why is the word maximum? See, in Pennsylvania, you got 3 established speeds. The default speed is 55 miles an hour. So if you're going down a stretch of road and there is no sign, then you can go at least 55 miles an hour. Well, if the speed was reduced, so that's the new maximum speed. Just say maximum speed limit 35 mph. If sufficient information was on this sign, the required elements, then Police officer, he pulls someone over on the special friends list, it wouldn't be a special friends list anymore. Then he would have to issue him a ticket because he has no discretion to skirt around a proper sign. That's why this sign is generic, to protect those on the special friends list. So while you're at the township office, you're going to get a copy of this ordinance 229, and then you can ask the secretary for a copy of the work order that authorized the placement of the sign. That's going to be fun, because now we're going to do the shuffle here. She's going to say, oh, well, we don't keep them records. You have to go over to the garage of see the foreman for the road crew. And then you go over there, and then they're going to be scratching their head. Most of the time they're going to say, well, we don't really get official written orders. We're just, someone calls us up, and then we go and put the sign up. So then you have to write a letter to the township and formally ask for a copy of the work order to authorize the placement. And if one doesn't exist, please acknowledge that fact. If they do not respond to your letter, then you attend the monthly township meeting, and then you would, on the record, you address the council, the executive board, and then you have someone there video recording that you address council and that you ask these questions. Continuing. So we're going to do a sting operation on this Messenger Gap Road. So after we do some investigating, then we have to do some surveillance. And we see that the police officer, he found a nice cozy little spot to hide in the bushes, waiting to make some money. I'm going to sidestep a moment. I have transcripts from a court case in Pennsylvania where a state trooper testified under oath that he was in stationary patrol. That was his words. That's an oxymoron. I guess the police have mastered the art of moving and standing still at the same time. You didn't tell a judge, hey, I was hiding in the bushes on stakeout. No, I was in stationary patrol. I guess that sounds impressive. But that's one problem with the vehicle code, is infested with bastardized terminology. Alright, so after you've done your investigation, some surveillance, and you have copies of the ordinance, and you have select copies of the vehicle code, the sections, now it's time to conduct a sting. So you're going to be going down this Messenger Gap Road in the daytime. We'll never do this at night, but then again, this is only a simulation. And you know that the officer, he's up ahead hiding in the bushes. Now you're going to be traveling at 47 miles an hour. You can set your cruise control. And but important is that you're going to have your dash camera recording the event. I recommend that you get a high-end camera that not only has the timestamp, but records your speed and your direction and GPS coordinates. So now we wait to see what happens. And sure enough, the officer takes the bait. There, you can see the flashing lights in your side mirror. And now the fun begins. The police officers are trained. To them, this is a choreographed ritual, second nature. They walk up to your vehicle. They expect that you're going to be another dumb and stupid motorist. So they're going to get some quick money. They're trained in psychology. They know how to intimidate you, to cooperate. If they think that you know too much, they're also trained to disarm you, but meaning that they're going to have you doubt your position or second guess your information. Now, earlier I said that you have to be prepared to stop or to get stopped. Like I said, the police officer, he's prepared to stop you, so you have to be prepared to get stopped. He has his manuals, his electronic devices. You have to have your manuals and your electronic devices, namely, they said, the dash cam. During this vehicle stop, I'm only going to focus on certain aspects because there's dialogue, and this is where the preliminary hearing takes place. There's a lot of things that you have to say. You're going to use some special words. Invoke. You can ask questions. Now, a police officer has no affirmative duty to provide legal advice, but upon demand, he has to articulate intent, or otherwise he's incompetent. How could a police officer enforce the law if he doesn't know the law? Later on, I'll explain, if this would go to trial, that you're going to subpoena him as a witness. You just don't let him appear on his own. You're going to subpoena him. And then that he's your witness, and then you could challenge his competency. That'll be for another video. Sidestep a moment. This police officer, he has the United States flag with the yellow fringe. That's not a pretty decoration on his uniform. That establishes his jurisdiction under Admiralty Maritime Law. So to counter that, I recommend that you have the United States flag of peace on both ends of your vehicles. This way you are a marked vessel. I recommend that you get the straight flag, not one that looks like it's flying in the breeze. Pennsylvania, you need an inspection sticker. So I put the one in the front next to the inspection sticker on the windshield, since as their routine, they have to see if the sticker is expired. So you're going to see the flag. So now this flag, now we have a clash of jurisdiction. A lot of questions to ask. Remember, this whole sting operation. He pulls you over. You have your video camera going. You are recording the event. One of the questions you ask him, if he has his camera turned on. If he says doesn't have one, tell him, could he call a supervisor, have the supervisor bring one over? I mean, you got time. If he doesn't, call a supervisor and to get a camera, well then you have it recorded that you asked. Now, when it comes to dialogue, it doesn't really matter who starts off. Like I said, he's walking up to your vehicle, anticipating you're another dumb and stupid motorist, easily deceived, and you're going to ask him what's wrong. And he's going to say, well, I clocked you doing 53 in a 35. Now, according to your camera, you had your cruise control set at 47, so you were doing 47. He doesn't know that. When it comes to his electronic device that he used to record your speed, well, you have no idea if he had his device turned on. His device could have said that you were doing 46 miles an hour or 43 miles an hour. But they're allowed to bullshit you. And he could say that you were doing 53. Because it's for every mile over 5 miles of the posted speed, they can collect an extra $2 per mile over. This is all about money. Now, if he throws a I hand a poke or a bluff, and you don't challenge it, and if you're just going to, yeah, okay, officer, I'm guilty, then he could write down in the citation that you were doing 53 when you weren't, and he's going to get more money. See, they're allowed to bullshit you, but you have to tell the truth. So the game is rigged right there. Now, concerning having the United States flag on your vehicle to identify, so it's a marked vessel. This is the basic license plate issued by the Department of Transportation. It is not issued by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I explained in another video that this plate does not designate a port of registry, but the United States flag does. And before I forget, during this dialogue with the police officer, you have to inform him that you are recording the event with your camera. And see, I have at least 3 cameras in my vehicle, one facing each direction and one facing the driver's door. So this is, you tell them that you are audio recording the incident. So at all times you have to keep calm and you call their bluff. Alright, during this simulation, you know, the officer, first he asks you, okay, what did I do wrong? He says, you know, I caught you speeding. Well, the next question is, where are we? Well, he's going to say, well, we're in Washington Township. He selected the forum of jurisdiction, whether he realized it or not. And tell him, I says, well, then that's the jurisdiction I want to stay in. See, they have to be slick without telling you. They want to transfer the jurisdiction to a different venue. So if you can get the officer to admit that, oh, well, I pulled you over in Washington Township, to tell the officer, I says, well, I accept that jurisdiction to handle this matter. People fail to realize that almost 100 years ago, in 1919, the federal government reclassified the roads as hostile inland waterways. So in that respect, when you're on the interstate, you're in a canal. That was done through the National Motor Vehicle Theft Act of 1919, and that's for a different video. Now, stop and think about, you know that saying, you know, being in 2 places at the same time? Well, you could be like in 6 places at the same time. At any given time, like right now, he pulled you over in this Washington Township in this simulation. You're in the United States of America, you're in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you're in Franklin Township, and so on. Also, you're also in a magisterial district, you're in a school district, you're in, if you're using a different map, you're in District 3 with using the FEMA's map. So there's all different jurisdictions, but you asked him where you were pulled over, and he said Washington Township. He didn't say, he didn't pull you over in a magisterial district, or in a, he's not using the FEMA's map. He didn't say District 3. He said Washington Township. So you tell him. I said, well, I accept that venue. I accept that forum, that jurisdiction. And that's going to bite him in the rear end later on. This goes to a hearing. So now this is where we're going to be playing hot potato. Not that kind of hot potato, but this kind of hot potato. We're going to be tossing burden back and forth between you and the police officer. So another question you ask the officer, well, if he caught you speeding, then what did you violate? And if he says that you violated a traffic control device, so that's where the fun begins. What is a traffic control device? It's a tripwire. That's what started everything in motion. But that traffic control device is, it says it has a pedigree. You got to connect the dots. How did it get there? That sign did not fall out of the sky like a cow. Someone had to put it there. Someone had to authorize it being put there. So before the day comes where we're going to conduct a sting operation on Minster Gap Road, here's a satellite image. We did all our preparations. Went to the Township Board of Supervisors. Addressed the township concerning work orders, some other issues. He had documented. See, what I find interesting reading is the police tactical manuals. You get a lot of good ideas. I'll leave it at that. You have to do a pre-trip inspection, because anything that's going to threaten their special friends list racket, well, they're going to look for any excuse to give you more charges or divert attention. So before we do this thing, you're going to get your camera, do a walk around. You can document that all the lights are working, tires are properly inflated, all the other equipment's working, so on. According to this checklist, you have one with the engine turned off and then on. Make sure there's no exhaust leaks. Open all the car doors and the trunk, show that there's nothing in the car. Make sure the ashtray is clean. In fact, any personal items in the vehicle, you don't want to have nothing in the vehicle except you and your documents that you're going to need when we're having a dialogue with the police officer. Would a police officer go so far as to plant evidence in your vehicle, like some drugs? Now, this is why it's important. We're going to document that the car was clean and in proper working order ahead of time. So at all times, you got to stay focused. He's going to try and pull you off your square. He's going to ask you, well, where were you going? Where'd you come from? You got to be polite and say, officer, you pulled me over because you claimed that I exceeded the speed limit. I want to stay focused on why you pulled me over. And so if he tries to, get you talking about something else, you go, so, officer, can we please stay focused? And remember, you've got your camera going, your video recording all that's taking place. So at the vehicle stop, so it started the ball rolling, you activated the trip wire. Now the officer, he's not just saying you exceeded the speed limit, but you violated a traffic control device. That's the trip wire. So now we have to do some reverse engineering. We have to start there at the traffic control device and work backwards. Now he asked the officer, I says, is that sign a lawfully posted notice? What's he going to say? No? He's going to say yes. Remember, this is all being recorded. And that's when you throw a hot potato in his lap. It says that you are raising dispute. That the sign is vague and ambiguous. Now he'll probably cite you under this section 3111. Obedience to traffic control devices. But now we're going to pop out the hidden loophole in section B. And you can have a copy. Show the officer a copy. It says, well, according to this section 3111B, the sign is sufficiently legible. If it's not, then there's no violation done. Then am I free to go? Now, if you look at subsection C, It says presumption of authorized placement. By the way, the word presume or presumption is used in the vehicle code 20 times, and the word assume is used 5. So they're doing a lot of assuming and presuming. But anyway, going back to this subsection C here. It says whenever an official traffic control devices are placed or held in a position approximately conforming to the requirements of this title, the devices shall be presumed to have been so placed by the official act or direction of lawful authority, which in this case would be the township, unless the contrary shall be established by competent evidence. By you invoking section 3111B, you just threw a rock in his gearbox. Now burden is on him to prove otherwise. Said you have to have the preliminary hearing. You have to have a hearing during the vehicle stop, not later on. By then, sometimes it's too late. These questions have to be asked before he issues you a citation. Remember, he has no affirmative duty to make disclosure or provide legal advice, but upon demand he has to articulate intent. Otherwise, he could be deemed incompetent. So now you're raising a dispute that that sign is vague and ambiguous. It is not sufficiently legible. And you could tell him, I said the word maximum is not on the sign. The numeral 35, its function is not identified. I mean, one of the established speeds in Pennsylvania is the minimum speed. So if we have the default speed is 55, then you have a set maximum, and then you have a set minimum. Well, if there's 3 speeds and the sign just says speed limit, well, which one is the sign talking about? It's not sufficiently legible. Especially, and you can tell the officer that sign is an unmarked vessel. It has no serial number. If you get pulled over for an expired inspection sticker, each sticker has a serial number. The officer has to document that serial number on the citation. You just didn't violate any inspection sticker. It was a specific one. A specific sticker he's claiming was expired, not just any one. Now, we're going to reverse engineer that so-called traffic control device. I said it just didn't fall out of the sky like a cow. So the trail of evidence, the township road crew had to install the sign, and they did so. There was no work order created. The township passed an ordinance, but they failed to mention in the ordinance that they were going to direct the road crew to attach a sign along the road. Passing an ordinance that they're going to reduce the speed limit, that's not enough. They have to follow through. It says, well, now upon direction of the executive board, we are ordering the road crew to install the sign. And I can't stress enough that that sign, it has to be a marked vessel. It has to have a serial number. Okay, look at section 2. It says this ordinance shall be enforced in accordance with the provisions of the Vehicle Code of Pennsylvania as it pertains to fines and other penalties. So that is the forum that was selected. That the Vehicle Code is going to be used as the forum, limited to the fine and penalty stages. That's it. You did not, in this case, in this scenario, we did not, or you did not violate the Vehicle Code. You violated the ordinance. So the Vehicle Code is used after the fact to deal with the collection of money. The Vehicle Code establishes its purpose in section 103. It has a function, a general purpose, to make uniform the law throughout this Commonwealth and all political subdivisions. I got to sidetrack a moment. These lawyers have lost the ability to talk normal. What are they making uniform throughout the Commonwealth? The fine and penalty stages. That is it. In this case, you've selected the forum that the officer says you were pulled over in Washington Township. I said, well, I accept that. Remember, For any agreement to be established, it takes consent. So if you're the one that has to say, hey, oh, we got pulled over in Washington Township, good, I want to stay here. I consent to that. I do not consent to going anywhere else. The officer then could say that you violated section 3362, the maximum speed limit. Well, then again, you raise a dispute. They use the word maximum in the vehicle code. A copy of the vehicle code, a copy of this section isn't on a sign, like a companion sign along with that speed limit sign. They use the word maximum in the vehicle code. Well, that word maximum should be on the sign. I'm going to show you something about this subliminal messages that they put in. As I mentioned in other videos, anything that's in boldface type was added by the publisher. Well, it says here posting of speed limit. But then they instantly say no maximum speed limit. What they do is that the close association with the phrase speed limit and the secondary phrase maximum speed limit, it's like they create a subliminal message that the word maximum, when you see the word speed limit, it's like it automatically appears in your mind's eye, but it's really not there. This was trickery and deception to me to deceive the cadets at the academy. You did not violate the vehicle code. The vehicle code is a tool to deal with things after the fact concerning fines and penalty stages. Another big problem with the vehicle code is that there's time distortion. They commingle past, present, and future events, like it's all homogenized together. So we have to stay focused on the timeline. In this section 3362, part C, well, the officer can't even mention part C at this point because that's going to be in the future. Didn't happen yet. Any person violating this section is guilty of a summary offense. Okay, well, that means that's done at the hearing. At the hearing, that's when you either plead guilty or are found guilty. So the penalty stage, officer can't even mention that at this point because that said that's going to be in the future. Section 3362 is not standalone. It talks about, if you violate the maximum limits. But that's secondary. What's primary is the sign. The sign's supposed to give notice of what the speed is based on the ordinance. Said the sign has to connect the dots. The sign is placed there because there's supposed to be a work order. The work order is supposed to originate from the township passing an ordinance. Got to connect the dots. You did not violate the vehicle code. The officer is going to want to whip out section 3301. It says prosecutions under local ordinances superseded by title. Okay. That seems clear enough. Prosecutions. It says except for parking violations, and like I said before, the parking violations, the parking meter is a marked vessel, has a serial number. The parking citation or ticket is a marked vessel, has a citation number issued by the township. So they are handling the fines and penalties in-house. Anyway, continue. It says, except for parking violations, when the same conduct is prescribed under this title and local ordinance, the charge shall be brought under this title and not under the local ordinance. Got to stop there. We go from prosecutions to charge. That is just now. That is what you dispute at the traffic stop, because they anticipate that you're going to be dumb and stupid. Remember, the officer claimed that he pulled you over in Washington Township. You've accepted, okay, pulled me over in Washington Township. I want to stay here. I accept that jurisdiction. So let's read it. The charge shall be brought under. No, I dispute that. They anticipate that you waived the jurisdictions that allows them to take it somewhere else. I don't want to be charged under the vehicle code. I'm disputing that. A whole separate video on section 6301. I'd have to do a separate video. But this language is deception, is very deceptive. Okay, continuing. Like the second sentence, it says prosecutions brought under any local ordinance. Well, that doesn't apply here because Ordinance 229 did not have prosecution section added. Continue, it said, but prosecutions brought under any local ordinance, rule, or regulation which are based on a violation for which there is a specific penalty provided in this title, except for parking violations, shall be deemed as having been brought under this title. Stop there. Shall be deemed. Okay, let's look at the second sentence. It says prosecutions brought under any local ordinance, rule, or regulation which are based on a violation for which there is a specific penalty provided in this title, except for parking violations, shall be deemed as having been brought under this title, and the assessment and disposition of the fines and forfeitures shall be so governed. Okay. Prosecutions brought under any local ordinance, rule, or regulation which are based on a violation for which there is a specific penalty provided in this title. Stop there. Well, this section does not apply to Ordinance 229. 229 does not have a prosecution clause in it. That section 2 of Ordinance 229, they just shifted the fines and penalty stages right over to the vehicle code as the forum. But that little phrase they're underlined, shall be deemed, you could dispute that. They add that because they anticipate the average motorist is too dumb and stupid to know any better. Now, if the officer is going to quote or invoke section 6301, this is where you can have some fun too, is that, see the word, the phrase shall be deemed? Well, the word shall, that's a legalese term. It's, look at something here. The word shall equals to a bastardized word, and therefore it's an oxymoron because it can mean opposites, both as an option or mandatory. The Supreme Court ruled that where the word shall is in a statute, it means may. It's an option, not mandatory. So this time you could present the officer with your personal dictionary of how you use words. There has to be a meeting of the minds. You got to tell them, I said, sir, you're using words I have no comprehension as to what they mean, because you have not provided me with a dictionary. I have no idea, because how you use words and how he uses words are two different things. So the Supreme Court ruled that the word shall means may, and that means you have an option. Now when it comes to options, there's three. You tell the officer, I says, well then, since you cannot articulate that I violated a proper traffic control device, because you invoke section, the one section B, that it's not sufficiently legible, then am I free to go? There's no violation. Or another option is he can issue you a warning. Third option is he wants to play tough guy and take it to the magistrate's office. There's another fourth option, so they can get nasty. They do not like to lose. In an instant, they can turn into the bully monster. Call for backup. Rip you out of the car. They can rattle their jewelry, put the handcuffs on you. They want to intimidate. They are bullies. They're like a spoiled little child that wants to get their way, and they're going to act accordingly. What's a shame about the police officers? They are the pawns in a money game. They're the ones that are the hunter-gatherers. They have to go out and they have to collect their quota of berries every day. I know the police keep saying there's no such thing as quotas, that's illegal. Yeah, good one. How does a police officer get a promotion or pay raise? By their productivity, how many berries they collect. They are pawns in a money game. Yes, police are pawns. They take advantage of their fellow Americans. And they give it to the big corporate leaders in Harrisburg. And then indirectly they get some crumbs out of the deal. So why do a simulation? Because they anticipate that you're going to be dumb and stupid. They're going to take advantage of your ignorance. Because ignorance is deemed a commodity. It has value. So if you don't know how the system works, how to play the game, their game, then it's off to the who's gal for you, and they're going to take as much money as they can from you. Until the next video.